Okay, this video tutorial looks at the mathematical strand of patterns and algebra, and more specifically we're going to focus on perfect square expansion. So essentially when we are evaluating perfect square, alright, the perfect square refers to a term, in this case a plus b or a take b, alright, so we're looking here and we're looking here, raised to the power of 2, okay, so when we're looking at squaring these brackets, alright. Look, you'll notice the only difference between these, okay, when you expand them, is that once you've expanded them, you're either going to get a plus 2ab in the middle or a negative or a take 2ab. Okay, so positive 2ab or negative 2ab. And you'll also notice that the symbol in the middle here is actually the same as here. All right, again, negative and negative. We always have a positive symbol at the end. All right, and we always have our terms a squared and b squared at either side when we've expanded. So let's look at some example questions using our formulas. In our first example, it says we've got x plus 3 all squared. Well, if I look at our formula and I go, well, my a term is my first term, so the first thing I want to write is a squared. So if my first term is an x, I'm going to go x squared. I'm going to go, my last term, I'll do this in blue, is a b in the brackets, so that's going to be a 3, and when I expand, it's going to be b squared, so 3 squared is 9. Alright. And now all I need to do is find out the middle term. Okay, obviously here we have a positive symbol, so I know straight away this is going to be a positive symbol, and I know my last term is going to be a positive symbol. And in the middle of our terms, we've just got 2 times a times b. So in this particular case, 2 times x times 3, and that gives me 6x. So there's my example. In my second example question, it looks like there's a negative in the middle, and there's a negative in the middle here, so that helps. My first term, it looks like, is going to be, I'll use different colours here, a 2x, and so my first term here is an a, but then it becomes a squared, so it must be 2x squared. So I can go 2x all squared. The next symbol, it looks like, is a negative, so I'm going to write a negative. My last symbol, let's skip ahead to the last one. Last one is a 1, and here's a b. Now b turns into b squared over here, so 1 must be 1 squared, and it's going to be a positive 1 squared, which is just 1. And now in the middle, I've actually got 2 times a times b, and in this particular case, 2 times 2x times 1 gives me 4x. Now I can actually expand this and make this 2 to the power of 2 squared x squared take 4x plus 1, and if I want to simplify it, I end up with 4x squared take 4x plus 1. Alright, you are now going to have got some practice questions. If you could pause the video, have a go at the questions. When you think you've got them correct, skip to the last bit and we'll check our answers. So as stated, here are some practice questions. Please feel free to pause the video, see if you can answer them. When you think you've got them correct, continue the video and we'll go through the answers on the last slide. Alright, so let's see how you went. Now remember that with our formulas, if we've got positive in between the a and the b, we're going to end up with a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And if we have a negative in between the a and the b, we're going to end up with a squared take 2ab plus b squared. In our first particular case, we've got a negative in the middle. Alright, so we're actually looking at the bottom one. Now our first term in our example question is an x, so that means we're going to start with x squared. Our last term is a 2, so we're actually going to have positive 2 squared. And in the middle, we're actually going to have minus 2 lots of x times 2. Now, 2 lots of 2x, all right, in the middle. When we go to expand this, we end up with x squared take 4x plus 4. With our second example, we're going to be using, let's use a different color here, the top one because we have a positive. First thing we're going to do is we're going to square our first term, 2x all squared. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to square our last term and put that at the end, so plus 5 squared. And now we're going to do plus 2 lots of 2x times 5, which is 10x. Now when we expand this, we end up with 4x. See if my pen can work properly. 4x squared plus 20x plus 25. And that's our answer.